Mahgdalen Rose has some breaking campaign news. Yes, Mahgdalen, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we all know that Tim Walz has been very afraid of the debate. He's sort of been quiet, and it's being reported today, and it's coming out from smaller outlets. That one of the things they're trying to do is they're trying to cancel the debate in the name of having more coverage on what's happened in North Carolina. So Tim Walz wants out. He doesn't think he's ready. He tried to tell the Kamala Harris campaign many times he was not a debater. And they've been pushing very hard, him and his wife, to cancel the debate and do some type of speaking or town hall in North Carolina in place of it.
That, you know what? I was actually thinking that very thing today when I was reading who his debate coach was. Look, I wouldn't want to, I'm pretty good at this stuff. I wouldn't want to debate J.D. Vance.
No.
I do not want to go on a stage with a Rhodes Scholar who has that kind of, that is incredible. Look, can you hang on a second? Let me get through the end of the hour, then we'll hop over to YouTube for a couple of minutes because I have a follow-up question. Can you hang on?
Yeah.
All right. Folks, we're at the end of the show. CRUSADE Radio Network on the YouTube if you want to continue. We will have coverage of something tonight, I hope. Hey, info@milesfranklin.com. You said Mike Church sent you. Get your gold and your silver there. God bless you. Merry keep you. We'll see you on YouTube in just a minute.
I'm going where the water tastes like wine.
Okay, right back then to Mahgdalen Rose here. We just hopped over and continue. I love to be able to give you guys on YouTube something that we don't have on the radio part. And I know a lot of our listeners will hop over to the YouTube channel. Of course, we're still streaming on our Roku. So let me go back to Mahgdalen Rose. I'm not seeing this. I have not seen any hand tip of this on Fox News this morning. As a matter of fact, they have a ticker going. Bottom right-hand corner, VP debate begins 11 hours, 1 minute and 41 seconds. Who is it that is reporting that Walz is trying to crawfish and get out of this at the last minute?
Mm-hmm. Well, I spoke to a young Democrat intern sort of within that campaign area. And then there were local reports coming out of Minnesota. So I don't know if national news is trying to suppress it or whatnot, but I waited for breaking news of it. It didn't come. And one of the things that the young intern said is it's like funny in a sad way. He told Kamala Harris in the very beginning he cannot debate. He's terrible. He warned her people when they were vetting him, and they sort of just dismissed it as nerves. And he kept saying, no, really, I can't do this. I've never really debated. It'll be a disaster. So when the flooding hit North Carolina, he kind of looked at that and was like, let's just do a fundraiser. And apparently he kept referencing when Trump blew off that debate in 2016 to do a fundraiser, and he had a couple of the fellow Republican nominees. He's been warning her from the very beginning, and Pete Buttigieg has been making it clear that he has no faith in Tim Walz's debate skills, but that politically he can't possibly pull out.
So that is incredible. So, okay. So if you don't know, Buttigieg has been the debate coach. And who is it? Mike Emmer it's kind of helping J.D. Vance?
Yeah.
It's Mike Emmer, right?
Yeah.
And Emmer's going like, they have no idea what they're walking into. I saw Emmer the other day going like, I shouldn't even say anything about this. J.D. doesn't need my help. He goes, I'm just kind of like there. But especially with the news coming out today. I mean, last night, James Comer announcing that someone, whistleblower at DHS, is giving some sort of intel to Comer's committee and is saying that they have some actionable intel that Walz still has contacts with the Chinese Communist Party. And that this has to be that, the committee's going to look at it and they're going to talk to the whistleblower. And I'm going like, you think J.D. Vance isn't going to bring that up? Okay, so if they do, so this is on CBS. CBS, and 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night, that's prime time, as Deion Sanders would say. That is prime time. If he pulls out, I wonder if they would just have a panel of people asking J.D. Vance questions.
Well, and one of the things that Tim Walz had been saying was these debate moderators are not going to be as easy for me as another group would be. And he sort of questioned from the very beginning why it wasn't the CNN debate and why it wasn't, an MSNBC debate or anything like that, because I think J.D. Vance would have agreed to that. J.D. Vance is a pit bull, so he would have gone along with it and taken the opportunity to showcase his skills. And what I find interesting here is that we've gotten this illusion that Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, they're on the same team, they're 100% together, and that is not the truth. The truth is, on policy, yes, they are very much aligned. There's no real issues there. But Tim Walz has been trying to tell Kamala Harris and her whole team he cannot do certain things. He was surprised when they picked him for vice president. It was kind of like, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, and I probably won't get it, but it'll raise my national profile. Maybe I'll run as a senator, that kind of thing. And then she chose him because Josh Shapiro was too Jewish. So they got to this place, and Tim Walz is now saying, I can't do this. And what I find even more interesting is that Pete Buttigieg, yes, is a very savvy debater. But when you think of Pete Buttigieg, do you think stand-in for J.D. Vance? Because I don't. I think they kind of set him up for failure there.
I don't know, but here's what I think. And I was actually thinking that the Harris campaign. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. You have a national disaster of epic proportions. You literally have people running around saying this is a biblical size flood event here. And so you have a moment, you have a Hurricane Katrina moment for Trump and for Harris. Harris has an opportunity to prove that she is a leader, has a leadership style, can command men and women's attention, and can command them in productive ways, and what have you here. And then we have the tale of two cities. And it worked out great for Trump, and it didn't work out great for her. Here is the optic. The optic is there is Trump standing in Valdosta, Georgia, with on a little makeshift kind of podium there, Franklin Graham over one shoulder, and some relief workers from Valdosta, Georgia, there over his left shoulder. There are tractor trailer 18-wheelers filled with supplies that he has requisitioned. He didn't say that he got them from FEMA. He got them. There is a couple of tanker trucks that are filled with gasoline. Trump very humbly and modestly said this is a disaster. And then he says something that I think may be the quote of the campaign. Maggie, play the media file number 4. That's the one where he says that this is what made America great in the first place, or was it the second one? Was it number 5? I think it's 5, isn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll play 4.
To do this for a living and do this at least to help, and they said they've never seen one this bad. Valdosta has been ravaged. The town is very, very badly hurting, and many thousands are without power. They're running low on food and fuel. We brought a lot of it down with us. It's going to be distributed now or soon throughout Georgia as well.
Okay, go to the next one. I think it's the next one, actually. I think that this may be the line of the campaign.
It's when our fellow citizens cry out in need. None of that matters. We're not talking about politics now. We have to all get together and get this solved. We need a lot of help. They have to have a lot of help down here. We look out for one another. We pull together. We pitch in. We persevere, and we pull it through. That is really the American spirit. That's what made America originally great. And that's why today I've come to...
Okay. That's what made America originally great. We pull together, we persevere, we don't argue. That's presidential leadership. That's leadership of any kind, but that's presidential. You contrast that, Magdalene, with Kamala Harris flying over that area or around it, going to Washington, D.C., and then going and giving a pep rally talk to the bureaucrats at the FEMA headquarters. This, whoever is running that campaign, it must be a really stupid single cat lady, is really, really bad at what they do. That is an unforced error of epic proportions.
It is. And what's strange is that technically Tim Walz is right. They should cancel this debate. Kamala Harris should have been the leader in saying, we have massive disaster, we have humanitarian disaster in North Carolina and surrounding areas. Let's shift our focus and come together, both candidates, both parties, and try to raise money and fix all of these things. So in some ways, if Kamala Harris listened to Tim Walz, make no mistake, Tim Walz is saying this because he's terrified, but if they listened to him, she'd be in a better position. But this is the difference between Kamala Harris, who's an AG and a senator on all the showy positions, and Tim Walz, who is a governor of a mid-level state. He has seen what it takes to run things. He can't do it, but he's seen how to do it.
He can't do it, but he's seen how to do it. And they're probably not going to make a lot of hay out of what Trump said yesterday. But the people that did hear it will at least think that, hey, he's at least trying to aid and assist us at the where you need the help at. Not from the bureaucracy. And it was just like, that's exactly what someone that has never led anything and has no real world experience with, that's exactly what she would do. It's exactly what you would expect. And therein lies the problem for this campaign. You know what? I'm watching the scroll to see if anything comes out that they are actually going to try, that Walz is actually going to get his way and they're going to cancel this thing tonight. I don't remember the situation in 2016, but I do remember that Obama and McCain canceled the debate during the financial crisis in 2008.
Yes, they did.
And
there's precedent.
And McCain canceled his campaign, and I'm going to Mordor to go fix the financial crisis or whatever. So, yeah, there is precedent.
And I wonder if Tim Walz has any power within that campaign. I mean, this should teach us that not only does he have no influence and no power, Kamala Harris's team doesn't take him seriously. So perhaps the toxic feminism has reached such a point in the Kamala Harris campaign that they don't even take a man telling the truth about his own abilities seriously.
Okay, one final thing. You have to hear this. Maggie, cue up the last piece on the cut sheet, number 14. Magdalene, you've probably seen this on Twitter, but our viewers probably have not. So this is what I think. And I told you people in January, in the first show of this year, what is going to be their issue? It is going to be killing babies. You have one set of people that say millennial boys and millennial young men. You have Charlie Kirk and those guys out there saying millennial young men need to grow up, need to become men, need to start families, and need to stop just relentlessly pursuing lust and immediate gratification and start thinking like real men, right? You have another set that's out there going like, no, we need to start thinking like women who all they want to, Cyndi Lauper crowd, the girls just want to have fun. Well, this young lady puts it all into perspective and says, no, that's not how you should think. You should think like this.
I'm sorry. I am so tired of the tens of thousands of just hard fours online being like, I'm voting for her because he's going to strip all of our rights away as a woman. I can do that as a mom and a da. What rights, babe? What rights? He was already president. And how many rights did you lose? 0. He's trying to protect women's rights. What do you think it is when we have men in women's sports? We have men in our personal spaces. What do you think it is when dangerous men come over the border? That's what protecting women and children is. Oh, he already said he's not going to do a nationwide abortion ban. He's not going to do it. If anything, it's going to be state by state the way it has been. And guess what? If a state, 90% of people in a state want something, I think that state should have it, even if I don't agree with it. If you don't like it, move to another state. It's very simple. Stop with the propaganda. This is why people make fun of women. Use your brain. Use your brain, babe.
Use your brain, babe. That's a very young, very attractive woman. You can hear the booty-bumping bass music in the background there. But saying, I think, what may be on the mind of many. Magdalene, what say you?
I think that's true, and it's interesting because he was president, and we didn't lose any rights. I'm a woman who had Trump was president during my lifetime. We didn't lose any rights. It's complete ridiculousness, and I think that the Trump campaign is starting to get that they don't have to answer the questions of Trump being a dictator anymore because most women in this country, even the ones who hate him so much they can't stand it, they still know that if anything, he's sort of like a lukewarm liberal with like conservative financial positions. And that's just what we're dealing with now.
Magdalene, are there any regrets out there amongst the Democrats who were behind the conspiracy to pull this coup off and to get rid of Joe, and to not have a campaign whatsoever, and to coronate Kamala? You know, I told you the first time you and I talked about this back in July. I said this the other day. This woman shouldn't be out of single digits nationally, first of all. And she was almost in single digits with approval rating for vice president. And then I said this. Michael Dukakis, the accomplished governor of Massachusetts, who the Democrats thought was a slam dunk in 1988 against George H.W. Bush against Pappy Bush. Michael Dukakis was basically removed, was taken out, was kneecapped in the presidential campaign. Al Gore brought it up, the furlough program of Willie Horton. George H.W. Bush brought it up one time. People looked into it, and they found out that it was true, that they had this awful furlough program in Massachusetts, and that was it. He was done. And the thing what happened with his wife being the alcoholic, that just was cherry on top of the cake here. One man was killed. The woman was raped. She survived. The husband was killed. Harris and Biden are responsible for at least a dozen. Mm-hmm. A dozen. Yeah. You don't survive one Laken Riley. That murderer got into the United States by the Biden regime, allowing him in and then setting him free. The same thing with the murderer that killed that poor little girl, that 12-year-old girl in Texas, and then the woman in Baltimore, and then the one in New Jersey. You don't survive one of these, so they shouldn't even be. That campaign shouldn't even be in double digits.
No, it shouldn't. And I don't know if they regret Kamala Harris, because what other choices did they really have? Gavin Newsom, who's just as unlikable, but they regret Tim Walz. And I think they let the hardest left people in their party, the people who protest for Gaza and Palestine and all of that, dictate who the vice presidential pick should be. And so instead of picking the eloquent, attractive governor of a massive swing state who had broad appeal amongst suburban white women, they went with this sort of odd, bumbling man from Minnesota who has no debate skills because he wasn't a Jew. So if you look at it, I don't understand how that made sense. But it shows that if you are a Jewish American, you can't even be in consideration for high office now on the Democrat side.
Well, let me just add one final or two final quick points here. And the first is that when somebody made the joke that Tim Walz is Gavin Newsom in a flannel shirt. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then Albertus Magnus in our chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat says, will Walz end up looking worse than James Stockdale or Admiral Stockdale in 1992? People forget Stockdale was, you know what, Albertus, I'd forgotten about that. Most of you probably have no recollection of this. This is the guy that Ross Perot picked for his running mate. And it was the worst, and everyone said it was like this was the worst debate and the worst debate performance in the history of debates. If another one's going to be like this, then we must bring an end to all debates. It was that bad. And Stockdale was just stone cold deer in the headlights. Dude was a military Navy guy, knew nothing about anything political, couldn't answer any questions, and the answers that he did give were like, what? We'll see. All right, Magdalene, well, we might see you this evening, or we may not. We'll keep an eye on.
No, I'll be on.
What's that?
No, I'll be on tonight.
Okay. We will report live what's happening. Thank you, Magdalene. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, so that's an exclusive live report. You haven't heard that anywhere else. A breaking tip of a piece of news is Tim Walz going to ask for tonight's debate to be canceled so that we can talk about Hurricane Helene relief instead and do the right thing. Keep it tuned here to the Crusade Radio Network, because that might come up. You just don't know. That will conclude our overtime edition here of the Mike Church Show. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we're going to get you back to our regularly scheduled programming. Well, we don't have any on the YouTube. We'll see you tonight. If there is a debate, we will cover it. If there isn't, we'll probably come on anyway and spike Tim Walz's head in the end zone, as Democrats love to do here. Mike Church here on on the CRUSADE Radio Network. We're going to sign off now. And thanks for being with us here today, and thanks for hanging out. Please, if you did watch the extended version on the YouTube, or you've just been hanging out on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. It matters when you subscribe to the channel. It matters for the traffic and for the content, and how many subscribers makes it look good on people that are checking the channel out.